first thing you want to learn when you hit Alcatraz is keep your mouth shut, walk with your back to the wall.
Thank you for joining us on our tour of the Alcatraz Cellhouse. You should now be standing under the sign that says, "Tour begins here." On your right, look for a photo panel entitled Tour Narrators. I'm Pat Mahoney, former Alcatraz Correctional Officer, and I'll be your guide. I served 7 years on the Rock. These first photos introduce some of my fellow officers.
I am Philip Bergen, Captain of the Guards, United States Penitentiary, Alcatraz, California.
Well, my name is George DeVincenzi. I used to play checkers with Robert Stroud. I don't think I ever beat him.
My name is Ronald Battles. I asked whether they hired blacks out there. You know how it was in the 50s.
Continue to the left, to the next photo panel. These are some of the prisoners whose voices you'll hear.
Yeah, my name is Leon Whitey Thompson. My number was 1465. I was a man that had total hatred in them days. I hated anything that walked or crawled on this earth.
I'm John Banner. My Alcatraz number was 1133. I'm a thief, you know. I ended up about number 17 or something like that on the most wanted.
You were a number, you weren't a name. I wasn't Jim Quill, and hell, I was number 586. Everybody wants to be an individual. They want to be a human. And you weren't at the Rock.
My name is Darwin Kuhn, number 1422. Figured I'm never going to get out. Yeah, I'm going to sit right here until I die.
Up ahead, you'll see an open gate on your right. This was called the Cutoff. The Alcatraz Cellhouse opened as a federal prison in 1934. Within these walls lived the country's toughest, most dangerous, and most famous prisoners. Turn right onto the next corridor. It's called Broadway. Walk slowly along the line of cells on the right side. On your right, find cell number 113. Stop and look inside. Broadway was the first stop for arriving prisoners.
We went right down Broadway, in our birthday suits. And all the guys, are howling. And
continue to the next cell. Waiting on the bed for each new prisoner was a copy of the official rules and regulations.
This is the rules of the cell house. Your cell is subject to search at any time.
Continue to the next cell.
Sweep your cell and place the trash in the trash bin.
I knew every mark, everything in that cell. And pretty soon that cell became like a part of me, or I became a part of the cell.
Prisoners had a decision to make, whether to obey the rules or not, to do good time or bad time. That decision affected their lives dramatically.
An inmate is given housing, good food, medical attention, and all the necessities of life.
Everything else was a privilege. Time to exercise outside, getting books and mail, all had to be earned. One of their favorite privileges was the recreation yard.
The most pleasant place, I believe, on Alcatraz, and the most appreciated.
Prisoners also played bridge out in the yard. They used dominoes instead of cards. Prisoners who chose not to behave ended up in a harsher place, isolation. Go through this door. D Block was the prison within Alcatraz, the treatment unit.
This place is going to operate on the basis that you do what you're told, and you're going to get a fair break. If you don't behave yourself, we're going to come down on you like a ton of bricks.
Look up at the 3 tiers of cells. Unruly or violent prisoners were sent here. They stayed in their cells 24 hours a day. Typically, they were only allowed out once a week for a shower and exercise.
It was cold. It was damp. The wind used to just blow through there. You could hear it. At night, you could hear it whistling through the windows.
One of the more infamous prisoners to live here in D Block was convicted killer Robert Stroud, the so-called Birdman.
And almost immediately upon his arrival at Alcatraz, he was relegated to the treatment unit. And he didn't bring his birds along with him, which made him very unhappy, but he brought all his bad habits with him, which made us unhappy. And there he remained for several years, being obnoxious and noisy and agitating and busily writing. Fluent in 3 languages, a mathematical expert, brilliant man.
He's a psychopath.
Suicidal, homicidal maniac.
Well, I'd sit right here and play checkers to the bars here. About 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when it's real quiet, you know. Everybody's asleep.
Alongside Stroud, you'll see some other well-known prisoners.
Alvin Karpers, you gotta watch out for him. Former public enemy #1.
Creepy? When you seen Creepy, you wouldn't have to be told he was creepy because he walked on his toes.
Kelly.
Machine Gun Kelly.
Nice fella, never give you any troubles at all. Very accommodating, polite.
Capone.
Ain't a fool with Capone, see? He was a street fighter. He's a big man. He was in good shape. The only thing, his brain was gone. He had syphilis. Well, eventually it drove him crazy.
Alcatraz was built for men like these. Walk over to the cells on the far right with solid green doors. This was solitary confinement, the whole, cells 9 through 14. You may enter one of the cells if you wish.
Well, when I'd go in the hole, what I used to do was I'd tear a button off my coveralls. I'd flip it up in the air, then I'd turn around in circles, then I'd get down on my hands and knees and I'd hunt for that button. Then when I found the button, I'd stand up, I'd do it again.
Now, open your eyes. Step out of the hole. Walk through the nearest doorway marked library. Continue into the large open area. This was the prison library.
You put your request on a library card. If the book was available, they'd bring it, put it in the bars for you.
Prisoners with reading privileges could subscribe to approved magazines. Prisoners who behaved could also take correspondence courses. In May of 1946, an inmate named Bernie Coy, along with 5 accomplices, decided they would escape to freedom.
Alcatraz was built to keep every inmate directly under a gun.
This panel tells the story of the bloodiest escape attempt in Alcatraz history. Find the pictures of the escapees and look at the bar spreader. Now continue through the next doorway and walk outside. When you get there, find a place to stand where you can see San Francisco.
The beautiful view there.
There's everything I want in my life and it's there. It's a mile or a mile and a half away, and yet I can't get to it.
Look at the city directly across from us. Look across the aisle for cell number 138.
I'll wake him up.
Walk over to it and look inside.
Hey!
And he was laying in there, so I reached in through the bars and I hit the pillow. And Lord knows what happened. The head fell off on the floor.
You should be facing the cells. Continue to your left to cells number 150 and 152. Prisoners Frank Lee Morris and 2 brothers John and Clarence Anglin had escaped the night before. They made dummy heads to fool the officers. According to the reports, the men enlarged the vent openings in the back of their cells with stolen spoons.
They didn't make those holes with spoon handles. They had the necessary tools.
You should now be at the end of the corridor. This is the area known as Times Square. Directly ahead of you is the dining hall. Step through the doorway and move toward the bars at the back of the dining hall. 3 times a day, all the men in general population gathered here for 20-minute meals. Imagine 200 plus men, each armed with a knife, fork, and spoon. This was potentially the most dangerous room in the cell house. Now walk to the barred area at the far end of the dining room. Behind it is the kitchen area. Notice the knife rack on the left. The shape of each knife was outlined on the rack. This way, officers could tell immediately if one was missing. Even so, some knives disappeared.
Alcatraz, I don't think you ever heard anybody say anything disparaging about the meals.
It was a strict requirement of the Bureau of Prisons that the food not only be palatable and healthy, but attractively served.
When they first started making spaghetti and putting it on the line, it was pretty good. And it kept going down and down and down.
Noodles and plum juice.
So somebody said, damn it, the next time they put that spaghetti out on the line, we're going to turn the tables over. The following week, there was a damn spaghetti.
At the end of 3 decades, over 1,500 men had served time on the rock. By then, Alcatraz had served its own time. After years of harsh wind and weather, the buildings were badly deteriorated. The isolated island was too expensive to run. And now in the 1960s, prison reformers preached rehabilitation instead of punishment. Early in 1963, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy ordered Alcatraz closed. Look back toward the dining hall entrance. Walk over to the large photo of prisoners walking down Broadway. They were the last prisoners to leave the Rock on March 21st, 1963. Thank you for taking the Alcatraz Cell House tour and supporting America's national parks.